Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and today I sat down with newest Raider Tommy Mellott. He was the 6th pick, 213th overall by the Las Vegas Raiders, a wide receiver quarterback hybrid. He led the number one team in the country, Montana State, to a 15-1 record and an FCS title appearance. In 2024, he won the Walter Payton Trophy, which goes out to the best player in FCS. Think of it almost as the Heisman Trophy. And I know there's a lot of people out there calling Tommy Mellott the next Julian Edelman. Well, guess what? Before we get into our interview today for Mr. Mellott, I'm going to break down some eye-popping stats that I want Raider Nation and I want the NFL world to wake up about, because Tommy Mellott is more athletic than Julian Edelman. Tommy Mellott is more athletic than Johnny Manziel. I can remember one of my Raiders fans coming up to me and saying, dude, I think the Raiders just drafted the next Manziel. I'll tell you this, Mellott is a better athlete than Manziel. And I'm going to break down a whole bunch of stats here. Look at what this young man did in 2024 from a rushing standpoint. He averaged 8.5 yards per carry, 15 touchdowns, over 1,000 rushing yards. From a career standpoint, 39 games played. The Montana State quarterback, 63.7 completion percentage, over 6,000 passing yards, 55 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. But look at these numbers on the ground, man. He's going to be a receiver. He's going to be a wildcat. He is a really good football player, and that's what the Raiders got. Somebody had 43 career rushing touchdowns. But you know what? I am a man that likes to compare. Giggity. And I want to look at what Tommy Mellott looked like in 2024 compared to the way Johnny Manziel looked in 2014, the height and the weight. It's very similar. 40 time, though, 4.39 compared to 4.68. Look at the vertical in terms of inches. Look at the broad jump. Look at the 10-yard split. I don't think Raider Nation understands how good of an athlete Tommy Mellott is. So let's compare him to somebody like Julian Edelman, another undrafted player, and I get it. Mellott ended up getting drafted here in the 6th round, but Edelman, someone's got a lot of Tom Brady connections, and when you look at a lot of write-outs about Mr. Mellott, a lot of Julian Edelman connections. 40 time, better. Vert, better. Broad jump, better. An RAS score just proves of how overall great of an athlete is. Tommy Mellott, 9.68. That's me saying to you, he is in the 97th percentile of all receivers that came out into the NFL. So I am super excited to be able to break down this full interview. We did this interview live on our show back on Tuesday. If you missed it, it's all good. For those of you that did miss it, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure those notifications are turned on. Coming up right now, a full interview with the newest Raider, Tommy Mellott. Tommy, what's going on, dude? Thank you so much for pulling up here to the Raiders Report. Give a quick little intro for the nation in case they don't know who you are.
Yes, sir, and I appreciate you getting me on here. So, yeah, Tommy Mellott, hometown Butte, Montana. Played over at Montana State for the past 4.5 years. I started my career there playing wide receiver, wildcat quarterback, special teams, and then I ended up, during the playoffs my freshman year, we went on a run to go make it to the national championship game, and I got my first start at the first playoff game, and ever since then, we've been, leading the Bobcats every single year. So it's been a privilege to be up here in Montana. I can't wait to get down to Vegas and get to work with the coaches and that organization.
I'm excited too. There's actually another really good quarterback that I heard kind of got his start in the playoffs, and then the rest is history. His name's Tom Brady. One of the players that I have heard some NFL comps to is Julian Edelman. What would you say to the entire world that I think that you could be the next Julian Edelman?
Yeah, like I said, played quarterback, and similar to him, I think our best, traits were making guys miss, being elusive with the ball in our hands, and just extremely competitive. So I think regardless of, getting down there, how it's all going to look, I think it's going to be an amazing process. And I just can't wait to go chase it. I think my athleticism is going to be used a lot better, as a receiver, utility guy, whatever it might be, whatever they ask of me. And so I'm excited to make that transition.
Oh, man, I'll tell you this. One of the most electric games I've ever seen was that FCS title game where, you going up against now your teammate Cam Miller. Explain the thought process of, you're going up in an FCS title game up against that Cam Miller. Obviously, NDSU ended up getting the dub. What is it like, though, going up against somebody that you competed against for so many years?
Yeah, I started my career, like I said, my freshman year, I got my first start in the playoffs, and we played Cam Miller in North Dakota State that year as well in the national championship game. But I think that was always a standard for Montana State, and it was obviously for my freshman year, making it to the national championship, then semifinal my sophomore year, and then finally again national championship game my senior year. It's just a standard that we set at Montana State.
Sure.
And so, to be a senior and to have guys that are going to fight for you and get you in that opportunity, you want to play for as long as you possibly can. So those playoffs, as soon as you're done, it might be over forever. So it was great to, play with the guys that we had at Montana State. And I'm obviously fired up to beat Cam, get to know him. He's a competitor. So that's what I know about him right now. But that's all I need to know for sure to know I like the guy. So
I'll tell you this, one of the key words Pete Carroll always goes with is compete, and I can't wait to watch you compete. One of my other things that I absolutely love watching, and I forget what night it was like Friday or Saturday, late after the draft, I went home and I started watching like the videos of the call, the Jack Besh call I saw, Dante Thornton Jr. I was talking to, I saw his call. Can you walk me through what it was like sitting there? Who were you with? Where were you when you got the call? And can you kind of just like tell the nation what that was like? Because I want somebody that wants to be a Raider. I want somebody that bleeds silver and black. And I thought Jackson Powers Johnson said it best. You play for the team on the front. That way they bless the team on the back. So like hearing these calls, seeing these things, it gives me goosebumps. Tell me about that experience for you, because I know the entire nation is dying to hear it.
Yeah. No, just similar to those for sure. It's an emotional time for sure. I was back in Butte. It's my hometown, about an hour and a half away from my college in Bozeman, Montana. And so I was with my family, my girlfriend's family, and a couple of other friends and coaches and mentors. So had a smaller group there, but we were just all hanging out. And I got a random call from a Las Vegas area code, and so they're on the clock next, and it was a surreal moment. I'll be honest with you. Getting to talk with Coach Carroll and Spytek, it was amazing for sure. So like similar to the other calls that you kind of hear online. I don't think I could really even recall it because I was almost jumping out my shoes. I was so excited. So probably just double down whatever you kind of heard on those other media calls.
Nah, man, it sounds like almost you blacked out. We've blacked out a few times on the Raiders Report. I'm not going to do anything crazy like that, but I do know this. I've partied with some people up in North Dakota, Fargo, and the Montana area, and if there's one thing I've already seen, you got a thick northern accent, which I love to be able to see. But you also said before we joined this, your parents are from Las Vegas. Are they really excited that now you're going to go play for the Las Vegas Raiders?
Oh, yeah. They're originally from Montana, but similar to what it's looking like for me is I'm going to be heading down there, obviously, right after I get done with college. They took a 10 year span of their life that they were down there. So they're for sure fired up. And in general, I mean, Montana, there's not a whole lot of flights getting anywhere direct, but we'd certainly have, quite a few down to Vegas. So I know we'll have a lot of support from people in Montana, and I know it'll be nice for family and friends to make an easy trip down there.
Well, I know this, man. If I ever get an opportunity to go out to Vegas, which Chugs and I, we go out from time to time. If you're a foodie, I got a lot of awesome food recommendation spots, which I'd love to be able to take you out sometime. At least I'll tell you this, first round's on me, first food, whatever you want to get, burgers, wings, I'm buying. Just the first one. Then after that, you're getting NFL money. Then you can pay for me. I do have a question, though. One of the biggest debates going on right now in the world is who would win in a fight? One gorilla or 100 men? But I don't want to know 100 men. I want to know what type of dog we're getting here for the nation. 100 Tommy Mellotts or one gorilla? Who's winning that fight?
Yeah, you got to cut that number down in half, and I'm still taking me at least. So that's what we're looking like
50
right
Mellotts, one gorilla. Let's go. Yeah, I mean, like, how do you even attack it? Like, that's something that we've been talking about here at Chat Sports. You just surround it. You go at. I mean, what's the game plan?
Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, you got to have that strategy involved. So it's just you got to overwhelm your opponent, So you got all 50 of them going at one time. There's no way that dude, the gorilla can hold up. So that's how I see it, I guess. But I love seeing all those simulations online. It's been a crazy comment or crazy story here for a little bit. It's entertaining, though, to think about. I'm
going to put a homework assignment out there to the nation. If somebody can do a simulation of 100 Tommy Mellotts or 50 Tommy Mellotts versus one gorilla, I'm going to share it on Instagram and Twitter at Mitchell Renz 365. So we talked about earlier, Mellott, just how athletically gifted you are, because I mean, I was actually really surprised by the numbers. 41.5 vertical. I had somebody tell me, like, you're the FCS version of Johnny Manziel, and I had to tell a lot of people, I mean, to be honest with you, I think Mellott's a little bit more athletic than Johnny Manziel, and a lot of the numbers sit back and they prove that. Because you're just this unicorn of a player, and we don't maybe know too much about your game, if you were to sit down with Pete Carroll, John Spytek, how would you use you on a football field to get wins?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm a utility guy on offense, and that's to some extent I have been used like that at Montana State. I certainly was a starting quarterback, but we used a lot of two quarterback systems. I would have inverted, zone read handoffs, where we had another quarterback on the field who'd hand it off to me, and we'd run a naked off of it. Jet sweeps to me, and we kind of extend a triple option out there. So there's a lot of really cool stuff you can do with a person who can run, throw, and catch. And so, you see that all over the place. And so, that's I certainly am down. I'm excited for whatever they ask of me, and I'm going to do whatever they ask me. But on the offensive side of the ball, I think that I'm, a great weapon for, Coach Chip Kelly and the entire staff. But I'm excited to get down there and go prove that for sure.
Now, I'm excited to see how Chip Kelly gets his whole entire Raiders offense going, just because, over the past few seasons, this Raiders offense has struggled a little bit. I actually love what they were able to do in the draft. Have you had the opportunity to talk to any of the other players that the Raiders have drafted? And, are you already building some cool relationships? Have any of the, current Raiders players reached out to you yet?
Yeah, immediately after I got drafted, the punter, A.J. Cole, he reached out, just a direct message. I was down in California to train, and somehow connections came about, and I was catching punts from him. So we got a little bit of work there, because I know that I will be a special teams guy, on top of whatever they might be using me on offense. So that's a huge emphasis of me, and I wanted to go start making that transition, because I've always been a quarterback. So
sure.
It was great to work with him, and so it was awesome that he reached out. He's a great guy. Max Crosby, he reposted something, and one of my, when I got drafted, so it was really cool to hear from him. I can tell he's a high character, leader of their team right from the bat. So that was awesome. And, I for the rookies, I've, directly reached out to Cam, just because we've kind of had a little bit of a connection there the last couple of years, just playing against each other. So I want to congratulate him and get to, start kind of making sure we're on the same page, that it's all about the Raiders now. So
it's all about the Raiders. And I'll tell you this, I'm telling you, I am a new Raider fan. I'm not afraid to admit that, but just getting to know this fan base, I always say Raider fans prove to me all the time that you don't have to be blood to be family, and it's a rowdy bunch. They're going to have your back no matter what, but if you go out there, you give 110%, I know that this is going to be a fan base that really, really does truly rally behind you. You talked about relationships. You talked about that relationship with A.J. Cole, which I think is really, really cool. And then also on top of that, this organization clearly values relationships. From Pete Carroll, John Spytek, have you only talked to them during when they gave you the call? Have you had more opportunities to talk to them? And, growing up watching those guys, I mean, what's it like to be able to sit here and go, holy shit, Pete Carroll is my head coach?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. If you can believe it, we have a couple other guys from Montana State, coaches and players that have had relationships and played for or coached with Coach Carroll. So, I've heard a lot of great things about him. I'm fired up to obviously go meet him and confirm all those great comments myself. But yeah, I just felt all the process. I think the biggest relationship and one that's another cool connection is Coach McMahon, the special teams coordinator. He's a Montana boy himself from Helena. So
okay,
I'm fired up to go get to know him and work with him.
Yeah, I know Tom McMahon. He was at one point a Bronco. Now he's a big-time Raider. So Montana, I got to be able to figure out a way to get up there. Actually, one of our loyal watchers, we call him Rebel Montana. And I did see a question come in here, and, well, not question, but I got one from Patrick B. He's one of our old-time watchers. He's super excited to have you here. One of our guys named Sean Irish said, love to have you here, Tommy. Welcome to Raider Nation. Excited for your career. Geno Smith, our new quarterback here. How do you think you fit with Geno Smith? He is an extremely accurate quarterback. He's just now getting into the realm here with the nation. What is your skill set best with Chip Kelly, Geno Smith? How is that all going to just blossom together?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had, direct conversations with Gino or exactly what my position will be. And I know that that receiver spot is kind of, where I got drafted. That's kind of what they put up on the board there. So I'm obviously excited to, I think that I'm, a super elusive guy. So I'm going to be able to go find areas. I have a really great feel. I know that in football. And beyond that, a catch and run guy to go, make the extra play. And then also, in the run game to be a guy that's physical and to block. And overall, I've played quarterback. So I think that's a unique thing for a receiver to be kind of mindset to understand the protections, understand when someone's hot, understand where you're at in the progression and where you're at in dictated by coverages. And that's something that regardless of, me playing receiver and maybe not playing quarterback, that I'll be, I'll study the offense in the same way. So, I'll for sure just kind of be as on the same page as I possibly can with them. So I'm very excited about that.
So, Tommy, I got two random questions for you. The first one, and I don't need to know if you're Netflix and chilling, but I do at least want to know, what are you watching right now on Netflix? And then my other question to you is this: have you ever banged in front of over 1,000 people? Because
or banged in front of 1,000 people.
Yeah, because there's something that we like to do here on the Raiders Report. When somebody sends in a $100 super chat, we like to bang. So I'm going to give a shout out to somebody that just banged here on the Raiders Report. And if you want to yell bang at home, you can yell bang at home as well. Because Lord Cameron Abbott, bang! So all that is just the nation showing love to you. He says, we're happy to have you here, Tommy. Can't wait to see what you can do. Congrats from the nation. Bottom line, I promise you, Raider Nation is always going to have your back, Tommy. That I guarantee. But let's go back to the Netflix question. What shows are you watching right now on Netflix? Unless you're not watching it.
Yeah, funny enough, I know it's based in Montana. Maybe it's on Netflix, but I'm starting to watch Yellowstone. So I kind of wanted to see how realistic it really was, So I know it's based in around the general area of Bozeman, and that's, obviously where I've lived for the past 5 years. So I don't really watch a whole lot of series.
That's okay.
I'm like really fighting to get through the first couple episodes, even despite how entertaining it is. I just, I don't love just sitting down and just watching TV. I'm kind of a busybody with it. So
quite frankly, I'm glad that was your answer, right? I mean, if you're spending hours watching Netflix, I'm almost a little bit concerned about the whole thing. I do have a random question for you, and it is, just kind of about, well, actually, I just saw a shout out from Navman. What up, Navman? One of my questions that I have for you, though, Tommy, is I think Raider fans, we're always about history, and the history is, multiple Super Bowls many, many years ago. Not too many times do I get somebody on this show that looks younger than I do. So who do you think is like a old school Raiders player that your game resembles? Like old school Raider player that your game resembles?
Yeah, I mean, just looking at what the transition is kind of looking out to be here in the NFL and playing for the Raiders. It's hard to explain or hard to define, in one single individual.
Sure.
Because I think, I think I do have a unique skill set, but I certainly don't have a clear idea of what that's going to look like yet with the coaches. So I don't want to speak too much, but, just doing some research, looking a little bit back, I looked into Clem Daniels, played from 61 to 67.
Okay.
And it was a while ago. It's triple option football. It's split back. Misdirections, all that stuff, and it's just cool to see kind of how utility players have played for so long, and kind of how people can revolutionize an offense. And so, I like to, I've heard a lot of how it's just always cat and mouse between offense and defense, and I think that he was kind of, he made that big jump because he played receiver, running back, DB. He did a ton of different things for him. He was in the split back. He was split out as a receiver, catching passes, running the ball. I even saw a play where against the Chiefs, they had a toss in the backfield where he threw to Fred Blitnikoff. So some really cool stuff there. But I think that was a cool opportunity to at least appreciate a Raiders legend like that, because I think that it's that gadget player. There's very few throughout the NFL, and I'm not guaranteed that that's what I'll be doing by any stretch. But I thought it was a great thing to throw that out there, throw some love to him, because he was a stud.
I'll tell you this right now. Al Davis is smiling down the fact that you just dropped Clem's name. And quite frankly, I think the amount of brownie points that you just received from Raider Nation is it's outstanding down below. Let's get some TMs down below for Tommy Mellott. I actually love this question coming in from Gary Gonzalez. Tommy, it's going to happen, and I hope that you do this multiple times this season in your entire career. When you score your first touchdown in the NFL, what celebration can we expect to see?
The best celebration I ever got to pop off in college. I loved obviously getting back with the guys, but when you're out, you run away from everybody. You do a little bit of a finger roll with the ball, like basketball a little bit.
Okay.
And so that always fired me up, to be honest with you. So there's a handful of times we got that rolling here at Montana State. So that's what we'll be looking for.
Well, I don't know what it's going to be. I want one time before a game, maybe this year, next year. I hope that we stay in contact. I want like a touchdown celebration that you're going to tell me that you're going to do, and then when you do it, the entire fan base can freak out. That'll just be down the road a little bit. I want you to concentrate on what it takes to get into the end zone first. If anybody wants to get a question in here for Tommy Mellott, hashtag Raiders or Super Chat to get those up on here. The next question that I got for you, Tommy, is kind of a silly one. Let's say you're on death row. First, what did you do to get there? And last, what are you going to eat on death row? Final
what did
meal.
I do to get there? Man, shoot. And then what was the second question?
So you're on death row. How did you get there? And what's your last meal?
It's my last meal. How did I get there? Shoot.
Shoot. Ran through a mother effer's face. How about that?
Yeah, I guess so, man. I'll throw that down for you. That's an easy take right there, so I appreciate that. But the final meal, we're Montana boys, so we got a lot of cows. We love our beef up here. I'd take a steak, some eggs,
okay,
some sweet potatoes, all that stuff. I love it. So that'd for sure be the last meal right there.
I mean, anytime I hear you say shoot you don't have to keep saying you're a Montana boy. It is unbelievably clear in this interview, dude. I really appreciate everything you got going on for us here. We have another question?
I do, yes.
Chugs has got a question.
All
He's
right.
coming in now.
Let's
Tommy,
go.
First off, do you have a nickname that we need to know about?
Man, I'd like to go earn it again, to be honest with you. I don't really want to be bringing it up, but back in college, and to be honest with you, I never really loved the nickname very much, but like you heard earlier, it was the whole Johnny Manziel, coordination. They love calling me Tommy Football, just like Johnny Football, and then also,
Okay.
they always say touchdown Tommy. That was a thing that got started here before I even got to Montana State. So obviously you got to prove those things again. I don't really want a nickname right off the bat, but I'll go, see if I can go make some plays and go see if I can get that back again.
Hell yeah.
Let's go. I actually workshopped some nicknames for you. If you'll indulge me and let me know what you think about some of these best ones. I asked everybody in the office best nicknames for Tommy Mellott. Can I spit a couple off to you?
Let's hear it.
Parking Mellott.
Parking?
We have Mellott on my plate. Mahatma Gandhi. Tommy Salami.
Mahatma Gandhi? Oh, my gosh.
Tommy Boy. Sir Melodicus. We have Melodic Clock. We have, where is it? Melodic Aura. What? Are any of these ringing out to you?
I've never heard any of those before, but I love it. That's some creativity right there.
I think the two that he came up with personally are a little bit better. I mean, Tommy Football, I just hope that we get an awesome nickname for you. I hope that you're able to find the end zone a lot. I'm seeing some pretty creative ones down below, no doubt about it. So, Tommy, is there anything else? Because I know I didn't want to keep you here all day. I appreciate everything that you did. Again, huge shout out to you, dude, for being able to live your dream. I'm super excited that you're a part of this Raiders organization, and we have an amazing fan base. We're going to rally behind you. Is there anything that you want to market, you want to talk about? Is there anything that you want to bring some light on now that I got you here? Are you doing anything special? Please let me know.
Yeah, I don't really got anything to add here, but I'm just fired up to get down there. I know that it's all about winning. It's all about competition. So I love looking through all the historic quotes from Coach or Al Davis, and the just win, baby. I love that. That's what it's always been about. That's what it'll continue to be about down in Las Vegas. So I appreciate letting me be on here and meeting, present myself and to some of the fan base. So that's awesome.
Absolutely, dude. And then, like I said, I'll hit you up again next time I'm out in Vegas. Do your thing during the season. You don't got to pay me no attention, but I would love to be able to introduce you to some people, go out and grab some food, go out and grab a few burgers, go out and grab some drinks. Maybe, again, not during the season, but again, dude, greatly appreciate your time. Super excited to see what this season has to bring. And can I get a really loud Raiders at the count of 3? You ready? This is a big one.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Raiders! We'll work on it, Tommy. It's got to come from the diaphragm. It's got to come from the diaphragm.
All right. We'll be locked in.
All right, Tommy. I'm going to see some finger rolls. Appreciate your time, dude. And if you need anything, don't be afraid to hit me up.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for getting me on here. Appreciate you guys.
All right, Nate.